based on a true story. New Year's Eve always feels a little strange, doesn't it? There's this energy in the air, a mix of excitement and tension, like everyone's waiting for something to happen. For Michael, the night started like any other. He was driving home from a small New Year's party his friends had thrown. It wasn't a wild celebration, just a few close friends, some snacks, and fireworks on TV. By 11:30 p.m. he decided to head back home. The streets were quiet, early so, considering the holiday. No honking horns, no rowdy crowds, just an unsettling silence that pressed against the windows of his car. Michael needed gas, so he pulled into a 24-hour convenience store with an attached parking lot. It was one of those older places with flickering lights and cracked asphalt. Only 2 other cars were parked there, both empty. The air was cold, biting against his skin as he stepped out of the car to pump gas. He glanced around, noting how isolated the place felt. The clerk inside sat behind thick glass, scrolling on his phone, completely uninterested in the lone customer. Michael's phone buzzed. A message from his friend. "Did you make it home yet? Roads are weirdly empty tonight. Kinda creepy, lol." Michael typed back. "Getting gas. Almost home." That's when he noticed it. The first sign that something wasn't right. Across the parking lot, near the edge where the light barely reached, a figure stood motionless. It was hard to make out any details. The person, or thing, was tall, dressed in dark clothes, with their head slightly tilted as if watching him. Michael tried to ignore it, brushing it off as someone waiting for a ride or just a passerby. He took another glance. The figure hadn't moved. Michael finished pumping and climbed back into his car. As he started the engine, his headlights swept over the figure. That's when he saw it clearly. The face, or what should have been a face, was pale and featureless, like a mannequin's head. It had no eyes, no nose, no mouth, just smooth, blank skin. Michael's breath hitched, and his hands trembled on the steering wheel. He threw the car into reverse and sped toward the exit. As he drove away, he glanced in the rearview mirror, hoping to see the figure fade into the distance. But instead, it was moving. Not running. It was impossibly fast, closing the gap between them even as Michael floored the accelerator. He got onto the main road, heart pounding, and forced himself to focus on driving. The streets were still empty, but now the silence felt suffocating. He turned onto side streets, taking random turns to lose whatever was chasing him. Finally, after what felt like hours, he pulled into another parking lot, a grocery store that had closed hours ago. He parked under a bright light and waited, eyes darting to every shadow. For a moment, everything seemed normal. There was no sign of the figure. The only sounds were his ragged breathing and the faint hum of the streetlights. Michael checked his phone to text his friend again, but his signal was gone. That didn't make sense. He was in the middle of the city. Then he heard it. A tap which came from the driver's slide window. Michael froze, his phone slipping from his hand. Slowly, he turned his head. The figure was there, inches away, staring at him through the glass. Its blank face was now pressed against the window, tilting ever so slightly as if studying him. Michael screamed, slamming the car into reverse and peeling out of the parking lot. He didn't stop driving until he reached his apartment complex. Even then, he spent the night in the car, doors locked, watching every shadow. When morning came, he finally dared to step out. The sun was bright, and the city had returned to its usual bustle. It almost felt like the terror of the night before had been a bad dream. But as Michael walked to his apartment, he noticed something chilling. His driver's side window had a single perfect handprint on it. A handprint that wasn't his. Michael never drove past that convenience store again. And to this day, he wonders if the figure was following him, or if it's still waiting for him to come back. Not all things that follow you can be left behind. If you enjoyed this creepy tale and want to hear more spine-chilling stories, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.